Hello everyone, it is the Redmen Originals Podcast. After the Reds maintained their status as top of the Premier League with a win over Chelsea, we're going to be discussing that game. Of course we are. We are joined by a special guest. I'll introduce him in a moment. Not because you are less special, but you know.
You see us more.
Let's just not finish that thought or sentence. Hi, Chris Pager.
Hi, thanks very much. Cheers. Glad to be here, Paul. Really excited that you're excited that I'm here to join you today.
I'm always excited for you to be here. I'm always excited for Chloe Boxon to be here as well. Hi, Chloe.
Hello.
Hi. And our very special guest, carefully supping away at his cup of tea over there. It is a man who is at least 12 inches more swole since he last came in the studio. You basically turned into Hulk Hogan with the pythons. It's James Sutton, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like that wasn't as good as you used to give him. You used to give him the one, the only, Mr. James Sutton, every single time.
I mean, I've just...
Didn't he?
It's not like a prerequisite to having me on that I need like a special introduction. You can just say like, James is here.
It was better than the introduction I gave for you too.
I like you mentioning the pythons though.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
We had to put an extra wide one shot on to get them in today, James.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I had nothing else going on, man. I had to just get in the gym. I was bored.
Yeah, we had a thing before where you were complaining because Steve's t-shirt had ridden up on the sleeves, and Chris made him put his sleeves back down again.
I just dragged this sleeve down.
And there's no look. It's interesting that James has been in our presence for a good half an hour now, and at no point have you come close to asking him to pull his sleeves down.
That's because the muscles are doing it. Steve put his up and he didn't look good. James's look fine. I'll leave James where he is.
Okay, superb. Definitely excuse to it. We've got a thirst trap on the podcast is what I'm saying this week. So if you want to come, if you listen on there, if you're listening in podcast form and you just want to come and see the video, then do. Back in the day, we've got more things to discuss. Well, not just our wonderful shared life with James, but you used to have James Sutton fans. Used to be like a big in the comments on your early Redmen appearances.
Yeah, they used to love all that, didn't they?
Are they still going?
No. I think they grew up a little bit. I don't know. I'm not even sure to this day who it was. No, they might still be on Twitter, posting obscure photos of me and liking Redmen content that I'm not in.
Let's hope so for the views and the likes. Okay, cool. We've got loads of stuff I've mentioned to discuss. But before we crack on to the chat, we are doing a mammoth live stream on Wednesday, and I'm going to hand over to Chris Page to tell you about it because this is his brainchild. I have seen the spreadsheet. Chris has been talking me through it this morning. I don't know, and also I don't want to give anything away that I'm not supposed to give away, so I'll let you tell people what's going on Wednesday.
Okay, thanks for the heads up on that one. We're doing a 13-hour live stream for Zoe's Place. Everyone will have seen that Liverpool is plugging together basically to try and help save Zoe's Place. From comedians like Adam Rowe to the ex-players, John Aldridge and the LFC Foundation, Forever Reds, all donated 150,000 quid and stuff like that. It's been incredible to see. We wanted to do our bit as well, so for the last week or so we've been planning a 12-hour charity live stream where we're going to make an entertainment show essentially for you guys. Jamie Carragher's going to be zooming in. He's in London doing the Champions League coverage, so he'll be zooming in about 10 o'clock in the morning. We've got people from all walks of life, so some of the big YouTubers in the footy sphere and stuff like that. So Adam McCullough and Boovy from the club will be joining us. Mark Goldbridge is going to be joining us. Lawrence McKenna, formerly of the Kickoff, is going to be joining us. John Achterberg is going to be joining us over from Saudi Arabia. Sammy Lee, our old assistant manager, will be coming into the studio with Keo, the musician. We've got Neil Mellor coming into the studio, Gibbo from the Rap, and Josh Williams from the Deep Dive is going to be coming in. We've got musicians like Mark Kenny coming in, Jay Spearin, who's a coach and obviously former player as well. He'll be coming into the studio. Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV, Neve, who is Stump Peg, a big YouTuber, will be joining us as well. Peter Moore will be dialing in, our ex-CEO over from America. Adam Rowe's going to be coming in. Kenny Dalglish is going to be coming into the studio, all with the aim of raising money for Zoe's Place. We've got James and Flav from the James and Flav for Now podcast, and
I think you peaked with Kenny there, mate.
Yeah. I know, I should have waited, shouldn't I? But I realised I've forgotten them.
With respect to James and Flav.
Yeah. So listen, it is going to be an incredible day. We're going to do about 13 hours live. We want to raise £10,000 minimum for Zoe's place. We promise that we will entertain you all day long, and if you could promise to support the cause that we feel so passionately about, then that would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't announce Kenny's time just yet, can we?
No, it's weather dependent. So if it's raining, he's going to go and play golf and then come to us, and if it's not raining, then he's going to come into the studio early doors. So really, let's hope the storm doesn't go anywhere and Kenny is able to come in late. Or
I feel like we got that the wrong way around, but it's fine. Either way, Kenny is coming in. We're assured of this. So yeah, make sure you come and join us here on YouTube. We'll be streaming all over the place as well, but obviously it's for a phenomenal cause. The Just Giving page is up right now. I think it's justgiving.com/the Redmen.
No, justgiving.com/page/the Redmen TV.
Quality. Yeah. So if you want to donate ahead of time, then please do. Of course. Right. Oh, Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Chris, I will stay with you because you're on a roll. You're hot. Unlike Cole Palmer. Bill was Liverpool's first big test, and my God, it actually felt like it. I said in my post-match video that it was, I've accused these games of being boring a bit, or certainly more boring this season. But that was a first game where we felt all of the emotions up and down.
And rightly so. I think what I realised yesterday is that Chelsea are a very good side under Maresca, aren't they? They seem to be really confident, really controlled. I thought Liverpool did an incredible job of managing them, managing Cole Palmer and stuff like that. But they're a very good side. They're going to be a problem this season and next season and probably the season after if they keep going the way that they're going, because Maresca has them firing on all cylinders at the moment, and Liverpool really had to go to the well to get the win there yesterday. And it's brilliant that we were able to. Obviously it was the first big test. It was the hardest game of the season by a mile, I thought, for us. But we come out of it with the 3 points, which is what matters. Obviously, you'd have hoped that the result earlier on in the day didn't go the way that it did. The Manchester City result, obviously it was a great result for us on Saturday with Arsenal losing and stuff, but yeah, just a really tough game of football, but a very good game of football. And I was obviously in here yesterday, so didn't soak up the atmosphere like normal in the ground, but like, you tell me, Chloe, like that looked like a hell of an atmosphere to me to be in.
It had its moments. I wouldn't say it was unbelievable because, I've been in some of the greatest Anfield atmospheres before. It was very much the way I'd describe it is, I don't think right now anyone's believing that Liverpool can win a title. And when that switch does flick, that's when you see how incredible it is. But in moments like this, when the Reds need us, that's when we showed up. And I thought for the first 5 or so minutes we were really good, but the problem was that Chelsea actually really controlled the first half of the first half, and no matter how many times we tried to boo them, they just retained possession so well that it was like you kind of fell off of an idea of what to do there. What I would say is that the turning point was when Salah gets completely fouled by Colwill. We get given the advantage, and not even 2 seconds later we've lost the ball, and it's not a foul. The referee was the thing that actually ignited the crowd again. And I thought as soon as that Salah moment happened where he doesn't get the first penalty, I thought to myself, something's going to happen here from a Liverpool perspective. I didn't know whether it was someone was getting sent off. I didn't know what, but I could just feel something was about to happen. And then obviously, I don't even know how long it was, maybe a minute later, we get the actual penalty. And that is kind of what happened. We were so frustrated with the referee. We also, I think everyone was just on edge because you obviously go up in the game and you've got something to hold on to. The Arsenal result becomes even bigger. The City, everyone in the concourse of the Kop, as soon as that City goal went in, they went, oh God. And I just thought to myself, that might have a small little effect on something. But actually during the game, I think people were just on pins for a lot of it. And it was a case of, Liverpool have won the game now. Let's all start believing. Let's start raising the levels because we've got a tough set of fixtures.
I was going to say that on the atmosphere thing, it went up and down. I think it started brilliantly. There's a moment in the game where it's actually when Jota gets fouled. We'll talk about that moment in a second on the halfway line or going into that, and it killed the atmosphere stone dead. Yeah. And I think we're still.
It was him going down as well after the goal.
But I gave your point. I just don't think this is one of those things where we're fighting for something yet. It's still a bit like people are still feeling it out. The crowd don't seem totally bought into the concept that Liverpool are right up there, but again, I'm kind of fine with that. I mean, James, just on the general sense of the challenge, I've been trying to say to everyone for a couple of weeks, United away is a big challenge. United away is a big challenge. Old Trafford, tough place to go, which is true. But United are shite. Whereas I think, go back to Chris's point, we saw Chelsea are a good team. Actually, they had a good game plan. They got brilliant players. When they made the subs late on, well, actually, they brought Neto on at half-time, but then they're bringing on Nkunku. Well, we'll just lash Nkunku, who was their star signing a year ago, and you go, oh, God, yeah, they actually have, I mean, they should have a lot of options to bring into football, but they've got good ones. So this, as we were saying, definitely was a tougher test than I think any of us hoped. But we were maybe hoping that Chelsea would be the Chelsea that were last season, the season before, and a bit shit, and they weren't. They were good.
It depends on who you speak to. I've heard people say that Bournemouth's a tough place to go to, which we all know it's not.
Yeah, but they're Everton fans, it is.
Is that what it is? If you listen
everywhere, if you go away,
if you listen to Evertonians, it's a nightmare down there.
You know who else found it really hard?
Go on.
Arsenal. So.
I think I think the build up to the game affects everybody. I think it brings a certain amount of drama to it. This being Liverpool's first test of the season, Chelsea being in a really good run of form, finally finding a bit of consistency that I think they've lacked for a number of years. But getting onto the game itself, I actually think it was a little bit easier than you might have made out there, Chris. Actually, for me, watching in the stands, I didn't think we looked under much pressure for huge portions of the game. I thought we defended really, really well. That was the thing for me that stood out. Yeah, we didn't have a huge amount of possession in the first half. Chloe's right. There was a sort of 20-25 minute period where Chelsea, if you were just sort of watching it as a neutral, you might think, oh, Chelsea are all over them here. But actually, we never really looked under any pressure. There was no real goal threats. Kelleher doesn't have to make any world-class saves. And I think we got players like Virgil van Dijk to thank for that. I think he puts in another excellent performance, which will probably go under the radar because Curtis Jones was so good. But yeah, I thought it was just kind of business as usual, and I think it all kind of comes down to the manager that we've got now. This sort of calmness that seems to have filtered down throughout the players. Yes, it's not as gung-ho and as exciting a brand of football that we saw under Klopp, and I think maybe that might be affecting the atmosphere a little bit.
Definitely.
I think it's an interesting conversation though, the Anfield atmosphere, because it's a lot of it's match dependent, depends on the occasion, depends on, sometimes like you say, we need a little bit of drama, we need a foul or the manager to get a yellow card to kick things off. But I thought yesterday, I thought it was fine. I thought it was business.
It was the best atmosphere of the season.
Yeah, by far.
By a stretch.
Yeah.
And I think you're right there. I think it is opponent dependent. Mm-hmm. We've never had big atmospheres against the teams that we've played so far this season at Anfield. They're not games that we've ever had an atmosphere for.
I think it was on the overlap, and someone was like, I think it was a Forest fan, and he basically just said it's like a myth. Like, I've been there 3 times, and I just felt like saying, you're Nottingham Forest against Liverpool at Anfield right now.
Respect.
It is respect.
But I think about this, and people go, and I've not been to Dortmund, and I'd love to go and experience it, but I've been all around the continent now, and I've seen, even like the Europa League last season, where you see some more obscure football clubs, but they've all got rabid fan bases. But actually, so I went to see Union Saint-Gilloise. I actually went to watch them play Porto a couple of weeks before we played them in their ground, and their fans, great. The dedication's brilliant. I had a wonderful time, but you do zone it out after a while.
It's white noise.
Exactly.
It's white noise. That's what happens
after a while.
And it's not just that. It's the fact that, like I said, at that point, that Salah gets fouled a second. Well, I don't know whether it was a foul. It was down the other end, but doesn't win a penalty. And there's no okay, I'm going to pull it back because there was a clear foul 2 seconds ago. If that is just a constant noise, there's no build-up, there's no tension. And in that moment, after we fumed, for me, it felt like Chelsea was a bit like, uh-oh, like they've woken up here. Yeah. And it was all thanks to the referee for not giving us fouls and not giving us the challenges in the rough of the green. So I think it's better that way, because it's great to have it as a constant thing, but you don't go on a roller coaster. There's nothing to do with it.
There needs to be ebb and flow to atmosphere for me for it to impact the game, which is ultimately the end game of it all, isn't it? You know, you can make a load of noise, but if it just becomes background noise that the players are used to, then fine. But when you feel the ire of every single fan, the fury of every single fan, and the enjoyment of every single fan, then you move with them. The players move with us. It's why we've had some of the greatest nights ever at Anfield. Not just the greatest nights. The greatest nights any footballing fans have had. We've had them. We've had loads of them because of the way that the fan base is. All the managers speak about it, James.
Ask Pep Guardiola what it's like when a decision goes against Liverpool or something mad happens. What happens to the crowd? He'll tell you all about it. We've smashed them a number of times, and a lot of that was down to, as you rightly say, the link between the players and the fans, and that sort of building, that synchronicity between the two. And you see it in the second half yesterday as well. You know, once we're 2-1 up, and there's a few chances, you're thinking, right, this is our game now. Their fans have shut up. We've scored a second. It's game over.
It's always that thing as well. It's not like there's very few away fan bases that I also think are like sensational in the whole. You notice the really, really good ones when they come to town, and sometimes that spares you on a little bit. And I think the issue we had, I agree, it's like it's ups and downs. You've got to have it. It's like, you know, if you're raised in a house where people shout at each other constantly, and you need to really shout at someone, it's not going to have an impact because you've been getting shouted at for like spilling a cup of tea. You know what I mean? As opposed to like doing something like burning the kitchen down or whatever. What we had though was actually, we started with the boo in the first 10 minutes was like, we were on top. Every one of their touches was booed. Then the Jota thing happened and it stopped the game. It just stopped the game. So it was like 5 minutes of like, you know, the ball not being in play. And it never quite came back until Chloe mentioned it, the little bit of the kickoffs around Salah. And that was actually a touch paper moment. But it wasn't a bear pit. It wasn't the kind of cauldron. But again, when we do that right, we boo for a bit. And then we get bored of it and we sing a song. And I think at the moment, this stage of the season, we haven't quite got the songs yet. Yeah. That's more like European quarters and semis type of the season when it all really sort of matters. It was a bit, I guess we're not quite there yet to make it a sensational atmosphere. Yeah. But I saw signs that it's going to get better. The
game also, it didn't help us because they went man for man. They overloaded the midfield, and Liverpool, they were fine to let Liverpool have the ball at the back. They were fine to have Keller have the ball and say, go on lad, fine to pass. And they knew that they were going to frustrate the entire stadium because they tracked runs like nobody. Like, they were everywhere. You were seeing Curtis Jones trying to like do a shimmy and get off and try and create the space, and we couldn't do it. So we were just lumping a ball up the pitch for that large spell and basically just giving it back to them because we could not get out. And that is fair play to them because they came here, they put gusto in the midfield and inverted them at times, and the ball, Lavia was sensational. I'll say it as it is. Caicedo, sensational. And what they did was, where we couldn't run off their team, Caicedo just stood in between the lines, between Sobbo, between our midfield, and Lavia would turn, get out and fizz a ball into his feet, or Gusto would come inside and they'd fizz it into his feet and they'd be onto us. And I think you just feel the nerves because you realise how big of a game it is in those moments. But I've got no doubt it'll be even better. And also, at the same time, like you mentioned there, Liverpool's game management has been better this season, and I have not felt as scared.
It's been brilliant.
Which means, like, you're not sat there feeling like you've got to give it everything and that you need to go and get that third goal, which is what I'd feel like if we were last season under Klopp. You just feel like you're going to concede again. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people were a bit more confident in the lads on the pitch.
Because it's the thing, there were nerves, but there was just there's like general nerves. I wasn't nervous that Chelsea were carving us apart at any point during the game. I felt a real sense of control. I was surprised when I heard Maresca say we controlled the game, and I was like, did they? Okay. And then I looked at the stats, like, they had more possession. Then I looked at like the momentum chart, and it was well more in Chelsea's favour. I was like, well, sounds, because it's great that they had all that, but I never really felt as though like they were constantly on us and they were gonna break us down. It was like like they were creating this pressure cooker for our defence to handle. So sound, really. Look, let's talk through some of the key moments. Actually, before we do, we had a super chat from Robbie Brown and on the atmosphere. Says, Anfield felt quiet, strange atmosphere. We'll need every voice to get us over the line. Shout out to Kelleher, mainly untested but played his part in a great defensive performance. # won the slottery.
Nice,
Brilliant.
like that.
Love it. Yeah. All good points on there. I think the Kelleher stuff, just not something I want to go too much on, but I think we decided not to play him into trouble. We gave him a bit more freedom to just stick a few longer balls, and actually him and Kanate and sometimes Trent just knocking it to Salah was brilliant for about 15 minutes when we were struggling to get out of the back, and they just went, just kick it to Salah, because Salah had this guy every single time. Every single time they kicked it to Salah, the ball just stuck with him, which was great. Bringing it all the way back to start though, Chris, on the back of the Forest defeat, and we were critical, we were sat here saying, should he really have gone with that team that he went with after the international break? I was actually really pleased to see the starting 11. I was pleased to see Curtis Jones, and not just because obviously I'm an unabashed Curtis Jones super fan, but also because that was a critique of last time. And similarly with Gakpo, Diaz isn't in our best 11. I just think he's been in better form than Gakpo. Absolutely should be in it. He should be in that team. But I like the fact that the trust is there now, that he trusts Curtis and he trusts him, because that's a big game. He might well have just asked his main lads, as it were, to go again.
I tell you, I don't mind any manager or any player making a mistake. It's the same in life, isn't it? If you make a mistake, that's fine. That's just part of being human. Don't do the same mistake again. And I think that's what Slot learned from his mistake last time out. For the Forest game, we were lethargic. We couldn't really break him down. There was poor performances across the board because of, I think, the travelling distance. Now, Diaz obviously travelled quite a way. McAllister travelled quite a way and had his injury stuff as well. It made sense that you had 2 1A options there. This wasn't. And with the greatest of respect, Robbo, for Tsimikas, and I hate to use that again because I tend to bash Tsimikas a little bit too much.
And Slot totally disagrees.
And Slot disagrees as well. But like the drop off, I think, from a McAllister to a Curtis Jones and a Diaz to a Gakpo isn't that much. It's absolutely fine. And Gakpo's been in. If Diaz is in our first 11, Gakpo's been on our top 5 best players. It just happens that they play in the same bloody positions. Do you know what I mean? So it's unfortunate for him that he's not been able to get into the side. Curtis, I think, needed that performance, though. I think it was slightly different. Yeah. I think he needed to announce himself that I can be a big part of Slot's Liverpool, and he did that. And man of the match performance.
Well, yeah, let's stick with Curtis, James, because he was sensational. It was funny. I had someone. I didn't even put Curtis Jones' name out on social media, but I put I was told that the best player in the Premier League was going to be playing at the at Anfield. Anyone know who that was? And I had loads of people, without being pushed towards it, saying Salah, obviously, but no, loads of people saying Curtis Jones. I had someone say, apologies, the name, said, I disagree with lots of the things you say about Curtis Jones, Paul, but I have to say I thought he was good today, which is probably about as high praise as any Curtis Jones hater's ever going to get. But yeah, Chris said he needed that performance, and not in like his career hangs by a thread, more that he needs it because it's good for him to showcase his talent on a big stage.
Yeah, and he wants to find himself in a situation where he's a natural starter and he's in that starting 11. He wants to nail down that place. He doesn't just want to be there when someone else is injured. I think he's magnificent yesterday, but I don't think we've reached the ceiling of Curtis Jones yet. I think there's more to go, and that's what really excites me. He just needs to have that kind of run of games, I think, now to prove himself. But yesterday, I mean, you can't ask for anything more from him. Defensively, he's absolutely everywhere, and he's a fucking yard dog as well. He's horrible defensively, and then he's popping up top. He gets his goal. There's the passing as well, the vision, and his footwork yesterday as well. I mean, Chloe's right. The midfield was packed, but there were a couple of occasions yesterday where you're thinking he's going to lose it here. Didn't lose it. Absolutely glued to his feet, and that type of play, that under that type of pressure, only comes when you're feeling really, really confident, and when you've got the backing of the manager. So yeah, just a wonderful day for Curtis Jones, and he really deserves it.
He showed everything, Chloe. There was everything to his midfield. I said the other week about a Gravenberch performance that if he'd scored it would have been a complete midfield performance, and that was as close to one as I saw from Curtis Jones, as mentioned, doing the dirty. At that moment in the first couple of minutes when he's under pressure and he just basically, he fights, he comes away with it. He's a bit lucky, but it's also good close control in the end, and then he bursts away from Cole Palmer. You're like, that's what you need in that situation. Go and showcase how good you are.
Yeah, and I sat there and I thought to myself, we're struggling to get out here. And I went, just give the ball to Curtis Jones, because what he'll do is he'll make sure he'll protect it and he will recycle that ball. And there's a lot of times where people say he takes too many touches, he doesn't release it earlier, but we actually needed that, because we needed to just have hold of the ball in that first half and just take the not the sting out of the game, but the relentlessness away from Chelsea, because even though it didn't feel like they had chance after chance after chance, they were just toying with us a little bit and keeping us moving. And I thought he was absolutely superb. The one where, I mean, Virgil at one point in the first half absolutely screams at him because he's left Cole Palmer. But the one where Cole Palmer has a chance and he slide tackles, he doesn't get there, but he just lobs himself again and he manages to block the ball. The ones where, like you mentioned, take control and he just gets out of three people and you know, instead of turning back, passing it away, he drives up the pitch. And you know what? It's a massive performance for him, but it's even bigger because there is a player who's not played as well as he should be in the starting 11, and Curtis Jones just came in and got a man of the match performance. And when he has came on for Dominic Szoboszlai, I actually think he's done really, really well. So he's actually, even though he's sat there and he's doing a job for us and he's trying to do well because of the many reasons we've mentioned, there is also a potential shirt up for grabs. And look, if it wasn't Arsenal away next weekend, he might start that, but sadly I think he's going to go back to Dominic Szoboszlai due to the press and due to that's exactly what we need. But he has a chance to fight for that. He's got to put pressure on Dom, and that's what he's doing. He's popping up with goals. The late run into the box that we've seen time and time and time again. Back post, his goal is really good. His first touch isn't excellent, but he still manages to recover. He could have potentially had another penalty. He wins the first penalty. A ball just hits him, but he's just a little bit more aware to it. He puts himself in between the man and the ball, and the lad just swipes at him. So he was just phenomenal, and you could tell by the way he came off that stadium, the biggest cheer that was given yesterday was to Curtis Jones coming off that pitch.
A couple of things for me, Paul. Sorry, mate. I think Curtis Jones, for me, fits Slot much more than he fits Klopp and Klopp's Liverpool, right? And one of those reasons is because I think you can get a lot more frustrated at Curtis Jones when you're a counter-attacking side and he's going to go from one end of the pitch to the other dead quick, because it's not his natural game. His natural game is to kind of slow it down a little bit and take his time. That's what Slot wants. Like, ultimately, the football nerds at the club, like the data analysis department and all that, they view it as, if you are, and this is probably one of the reasons that you take a shot from 6 yards and not 18 yards, when you give the ball back to the other team, you're giving them a shot. So when you take your shot, make sure you either get it in or make sure it goes out of play.
You mean like opportunity?
Opportunities, yeah. And so that's what Liverpool do, isn't it? We sit on the edge of the penalty area and we try and craft the perfect opportunity. It's something that was levelled against Arsene Wenger's Arsenal 25 years ago. It was a bad thing then. It's now actually, it wasn't a bad thing. It was a really good thing. It was just ahead of the curve. So the data analysis departments look at it and go, right, well, every time we miss the goal or don't score, that's given the opportunities to the team to get the other team to get a shot, and that's what they think of it like. And
you've got to, but you then got to find out, and the best players are able to do that, but also be decisive with the things they've got, and it's not just possession for possession's sake. So, as an example of this, it's like an engraved thing, isn't it? Yeah. Of everyone wanted to play tiki-taka football, but they forgot that you need to have Iniesta and Xavi, or more importantly, Messi at the top end of it all. Otherwise, it's great that Joe Allen never gives the ball away, but he also gives up possession. He doesn't move the ball into dangerous areas of the pitch.
Curtis does drive into dangerous areas of the pitch, but he doesn't give the ball away either, and that's why I think it will suit Slot. And the other thing I was going to say is, that's a better performance for me in that position than Alexis McAllister's put in all season long. And he's kind of opened the door to what that role can be now.
So I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now, of saying I think McAllister's been fine, and I think Szoboszlai's been fine, and you've been sweeter on Szoboszlai than I have. But I said it feels to me like at some point someone's going to put the performance in, or we're going to buy a player, and when we see that player, we're going to go, that's what it was to do. That's what it was meant to look like.
And that's what Curtis did.
Can I say something on that? However, in the previous games, Ryan Gravenberch just had a lot more chance to get further up the pitch and spin out and get on the half turn. He did it maybe once or twice against Chelsea, and he did it really well when he actually was able to get given the space. However, I think McAllister, so far this season, has had to recognise where he needs to be on a football pitch, and we've absolutely sat here and gave Ryan Gravenberch his flowers, but the reason that Ryan Gravenberch has also played that well is because someone else has recognised
but Ryan Gravenberch
danger.
didn't get 2 penalties and a goal yesterday.
No, I totally get that.
And he doesn't get it when McAllister's alongside him
What I'm
either.
saying is that I just think Ryan Gravenberch didn't go as forward as much, which therefore meant that Curtis Jones could do that.
Can I propose an opposite point to this though? It was Gravenberch's toughest game for us, and I don't think that's because Curtis Jones was alongside him. It was because he was up against Caicedo and he was up against Lavia. And I think if you're a good manager coming into this game on the back of an international break, when you've had a bit of time to think about it as well, what's been lynching Liverpool's entire midfield? It's actually Ryan Gravenberch, and how easily we turn with him. They had Gravenberch scouted. There was one in particular where he just tried that roll across the body and someone just come in and nicked the ball off him because they knew that's what he's going to do. Yeah. That was a scouted Gravenberch performance. That was the first time when
Someone's
he wasn't when he wasn't an unknown entity, and I still think he had a good game, but it was just good to see Curtis moving around, to be honest. And what I was going to say on this is that now I think Szoboszlai, McAllister and Jones have all scored this season, but Curtis is the only one who scored in the league. And just to accentuate your point, Chris, he nearly wins 2 penalties in it. He could have a hat trick. You know what I mean? If he gets decent connection on the football in those situations. So that for me. He laid a marker down. He said to Alexis McAllister, I'm now of the opinion where if you told me Szoboszlai came out, it wouldn't be for Jones, it might be for McAllister, and see what that looks like, because that was a tough game. That was a really tough opponent, with a really good compact midfield. We saw across the 90 about 260, 70 million pounds. Actually, plus Cole Palmer, probably about 320 odd million pounds worth of midfield. And Curtis Jones, academy project, and 20 million pounds in Gravenberch actually held their own more than enough in that game. So
he deserves to be gutted if he's dropped for Arsenal. Yeah. I think he deserves to be disappointed.
Do you reckon he would start?
I think there's an argument for it. I think I'm with you. I think Szoboszlai, I think there are questions to be asked there. Definitely. I think out of those 4 that we've mentioned, I think Szoboszlai's the one that's underwhelmed the most. But then again, we've only lost 1 game this season, so it's difficult, isn't it? As the romantic Liverpool fan in me is going, well, Szoboszlai did loads of hard work yesterday, ran himself into the ground, but actually compared to Curtis Jones was kind of nowhere. But then if you look at the stats, we've only lost 1 game.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it, the Szoboszlai conversation? For me it is anyway, because I can see what he does off the ball, but all I remember is the times where he's been really indecisive and made the wrong decision, when I think Liverpool could have had goals if it wasn't for something that
I must admit, I noticed Szoboszlai's off the ball stuff more. Because we didn't have as much of the ball. So I saw him.
You got to watch something.
He's everywhere.
I saw him
really
he ran down their goalie a lot. And I think that's one thing, but I think there's one of those things that if he wasn't doing that, and he is doing that, so it's a pointless argument, then you'd be starting to wonder what the point is. So I do think he's got the physicality and he's got the engine to be doing it. But, I mean, I defended Jordan Henderson for years, and a lot of people just say he was just an engine who just ran around and did things. So, I'm not gonna throw him to the wolves or whatever.
Without an engine, though, you need an engine.
No, you do.
Football teams need engines.
But again, it just screams to me of, he's still the highest positioned midfielder. I'd like to see him be in more dangerous positions to score goals. I do feel as though the requirement of that is goals and assists, and he's not getting enough goals or assists as yet. But it'll come. People are still learning. Not everyone's the perfect fit straight out the bat, are they? But again, to James's point, top of the league. Only lost 1 game.
Not a bad position to be in, really.
Not a bad position to be in. We've touched upon it a couple of times, James, but that moment where Salah gets fouled about 4 times, he gets past Colwill and he takes a swipe at him and then carries on, and then he gets fouled, and the referee, that referee has decided he's not giving Salah a penalty no matter what happens next, by the way, because he's so ready to shake it away. it breaks down, the ball ends up in the air, Slot volleys it away in anger, and I've casually enjoyed so far this season watching his descent into madness with English refereeing.
It happens to the best of them, doesn't it? They all turn up in the Premier League, all very upright and stiff collar, and no, this is all absolutely fine. Give it 6 weeks. 6 weeks, the shirt's undone, the tie's off. It's just madness.
Yeah, it's like the later stages of a wedding, isn't it? You know what I mean? He's just going to have his tie around his head by the end of the season. Holes in the knees of his trousers. Because, he
sliding around the dance floor.
He volleyed it, and as soon as he did that, I was like, you're getting booked. And he does. But he retreats. And this is the thing, I think he's cool enough to know, well, I'm not winning any battle here. So he boots the ball away. It all kicks off for a bit, but he immediately takes himself off and sits himself down. And he has to, because that's the kind of shit that gets you sent off as a manager in the Premier League.
Did you see his post-match though, when he's asked about it? Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, he's the pundit asks him, was it fair that you got a yellow card? And he's like, oh my God, yeah, absolutely, yeah, that was a yellow card all day, as obvious as the penalty. Yeah, I was a shithouse. I held my hands up. So you've got to love him for that. You've got to love him for his honesty. But it was infuriating. I thought the referee performance yesterday was just
shocking,
bizarre at times. Shocking, yeah, but just weird. Like really, really inconsistent within like little passages of play. There was one where he lets it go, and then I think did you mention that before? He lets a foul go, and then they win the ball back, and we don't get the foul, and everyone's sort of looking around.
The Nunes one as well.
Reece James in that first half, Curtis Jones was brilliantly. And Reece James is about to lose the ball. Curtis Jones is about to be one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Yeah. And a foul is given for reasons unbeknown to all of us. And then in the second half, a shoulder-to-shoulder that therefore should be, a foul to potentially us, if you're taking it, Reece James got one down the other end, is a foul to them. But it gave us possibly the greatest moment of this season for me, that the Nunes, where he's like nearly punching himself to Arne Slot nearly on his knees with his head.
The Nunes one was funny because there was the fella behind me, Darren, goes, watch this now. Darwin's going to leave one on him straight away. And he literally gets up, play goes up, boom, straight over to a yellow card. There you go. Fair play.
Nunes is brilliant, though, isn't he, in so many ways. Did you see the one when Salah was getting draped over?
Oh, my God, yeah.
And Nunes...
He turned around to him and did something.
Nunes...
I missed
someone's over Salah's shoulders like that, aren't they? And Nunes goes, fuck this, I'm getting in. And he gets in between them, and he's like, starts pushing him around and all kinds of stuff.
It was
really
good.
What are you doing, Nunes? You can't just drop an atomic bomb into this situation. Let's not get the loudest, most crazy member of our team to defuse a situation. Nunes is never the diffuser.
The other thing was, he's on a yellow card, and they get out of the press or whatever, and Caicedo has the ball and he's running with it, and all of a sudden you can see Darwin Nunes come from nowhere on a yellow card, and the card's going down, and he really tries, and if Caicedo goes down, which he doesn't, it's a second yellow, but he lands on his arse with his legs flat out, and everyone's got their head in their hands, Caicedo's still got the ball and is potentially throwing goal, and everyone on the cops like this with their head in their hands.
So funny.
It was it was brilliant. The thing about the yellow cards, though, that it definitely had an impact on how we played that game. I thought Szoboszlai a couple of times just couldn't go and get on people's toes in the same way because he's on a yellow card. Darwin Nunes, again, it was a ticking time bomb running around the pitch. Could have got sent off at any given moment with that. And a lot of it comes from I can't even remember what Szoboszlai got booked for, but I remember my general sense of being really? For the amount of stuff that had been let go or fouled and whatever, it all felt a bit, I just thought it was a crap refereeing performance.
But the one where he plays advantage, you have to beg the question of who's he playing advantage for? Was it Colwell to have another shot at taking out Mo Salah? Because the advantage wasn't given to Mo. He got up and got fouled again, and he just went, yeah, fine. It's like, what are you doing? It was a penalty all day long.
The ball that we could see from on the Kop, which was down at the Annie Road end.
It was 2 handballs.
He was 2 yards away. Couldn't see it.
Yeah, no, absolute madness. Penalties then. The first one, Stonewall.
Yeah.
Can't
all
be
day long.
So stupid.
As much as Levi Colwell is desperate to pull his best, What?
You can tell what Colwell feels about it. I know. They're better actors than James, for Christ's sakes, on Chelsea's side.
And James is a very good actor. Let's just get that one in there.
That was unnecessary, Chris.
The low-hanging fruit there.
That was really unkind.
Colwell's great.
Yeah. No, it was a fair Oscar-winning performance yesterday.
Can we? The second one, then, the one that is overturned. My immediate record, again, depth perception on the cop. I saw Curtis Jones end up on his neck.
Stunning.
Upside down behind the goalie. And I am of a general opinion that if someone does that to someone in a tackling situation, then that's probably a foul.
If you've gone in for a tackle and you come out looking like Tom Daly diving into a pool, it's probably a foul.
I am actually disappointed because that's what I expected from Stay on Saturday instead of whatever he showed up to do.
Yes.
That is what I wanted from Stay on Saturday.
Anyone who was at the live show on Saturday will have seen Stee attempt a forward roll, which
Christ,
roly-poly.
It was
a diagonal.
It wasn't forwards; it was sidewards at best, wasn't it?
Angular poly.
He got stuck in his hood as well, which was funny.
So he says.
I watched the video back. He did.
Oh, right, so.
He did.
It's again.
The thing is, right, being deadly serious now, I actually don't think it's a penalty.
Okay.
Right? But I think once the on-field referee has given it as a penalty, it is not clear and obvious error, and it therefore should stand as a penalty.
Go on, Carl.
Because he does touch the ball first. I think everybody would agree that in open play, right, in the middle of the field, that is a foul.
That is my point.
So, yeah I get... If you're going to tell me that, it's a foul in the penalty, it should be, but it's not. It's never been that way. They always go into the minutiae of the situation. He does get the ball first. He does clear the man out as well. It is a foul. There is a chance, actually, if Kurt Jones isn't on his head, that he might be able to get the ball and put it in anyway.
Well,
which also plays into the fact that it's a penalty. But it should have stayed a penalty for me.
This idea of the goalkeeper gets it first, and look, I'm sure I would be strongly making that case if it was our goalie, been in that situation. Oh, he gets the first touch on it, is right, but the ball then goes through his legs and then heads towards the goal, so he's not won the ball, has he? You know what I mean? Getting a touch on something and winning the ball are two completely different things. I agree, and to be that person, it's just a free kick, and it's possibly a yellow card in the middle of the pitch, and nobody bats an eyelid. But because it's in the penalty area, and therefore penalties are covered by VAR, it's got to be stopped and it's got to be looked at. If they just give that as a penalty, I honestly, Chelsea fans will go, oh, maybe we watch the replays. I don't think anyone loses any major sleep over it, because look at the physicality of the whole thing, and look where the ball goes.
And listen, if everybody just got to watch it first time without the replay, you could poll 100 people, and 100 people would say that's a foul, and that's right, because that's what it looks like. But when you do start breaking it down into milliseconds and you see a touch, then I can understand that they might want to look at it and say, well, the goalkeeper's got the ball, but I don't think there's ever enough to overturn.
It's just that expression that the goalkeeper's got the ball. He literally hasn't.
He gets the ball, but then Curtis gets it afterwards.
But he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't get the ball at any point. He touches the ball, but he doesn't get it. Like if you get something getting something for Christmas and touching something for Christmas are two different things. You know what I mean?
There's tackles in the middle of the field.
Somebody clip that.
There's tackles in the middle of the field where everyone will go, he gets the ball.
And
it's the same thing. He touched the ball first, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wild. Absolutely wild. But yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it, where that's what VAR's for, right? To take 5 minutes out of a football match.
That's what I mean. If it took that long, is it clear and obvious? Like, because it got to a point where we were all sat there. We didn't know whether it was an offside, whether it was a foul. We didn't know anything. And it just felt like it took an age to actually come to the decision of it not being a foul. I think there was people in the ground, and people were saying that there was people on social media saying that there was a third angle that they didn't show the VAR that actually looked much more like a penalty.
Not that I saw, no. There was an angle where it looked less like he got the ball.
Right.
But again, I don't think they showed that to him.
It doesn't. The time it takes doesn't bother me as much as the fact that we just don't get any information, and there needs to be a blanket across all clubs, that when they're looking at VAR checks and it's taking over, say, 60 seconds, people in the stadium need to be told what's going on, what they're checking for, and how. And we need screens up at Anfield that will show what they're looking at, because it's
5
ridiculous.
minutes later, they now put something up to the amount of fellas around me. Can anyone read that on the scoreboard? Can anyone read that? And I'll go, I can read that, everyone. Right, okay.
Those 3 lines of text on that tiny screen.
That thing we've made our peace with because it happened fucking ages ago in the game. Someone said to me, I think it was the penalty decision that was confirmed, the first one. And someone said, what does it say? And I said, it says that the thing that happened 5 minutes ago happened. That's the thing that happened. Curtis Jones was fouled and we got a penalty and we scored it. It's basically telling you that.
Right, I'm not going to have a go at the board in Anfield, because I'm just made up now that it's not a secret how many minutes of injury time we've played.
Oh yeah.
I mean, why was it a secret for so long? Why did they just stop
doing it in the Champions League?
Why?
Stop. Ridiculous.
It's not a secret. You've told us it's 5 minutes. Could you let us know how much of the 5 minutes we're
the anticipation,
it's just
Chris.
Ridiculous.
Where's your sense of theatre? Where's your sense of drama?
But James, I have to keep putting it on my watch. That's what I've done for years.
Are you that guy?
I'm that guy. I'm like that all the
time. The other thing about the info coming up on the board is it doesn't...
there's a clock there, right?
Yeah, but I just need to know. I just need to know, and I need to be able to glance down.
I didn't see it when it turned to 90.
Exactly, that's the point. I'm like, what time did the 90 minutes finish?
The other thing about the info on the board is, when it confirmed stuff, it was just like, so VAR confirmed that there was enough contact. And I'm like, but where was the contact? The contact on what? Who did what? Like, can I have some names? Can I have some positions of the body that it's hit or that you've done kick to? You can't. It just is what it is. You've got no idea.
Liverpool never used to have a clock in Anfield because Bill Shankly, I think it was a Shankly thing, and he refused to have it because he wanted the players to feel like there was always time to play. So don't just play until the whistle, basically. So you don't ease off or you don't whatever, just continually go. And I might be paraphrasing this wrong, but someone donated the clock because we had just a clock, didn't we, for a while, like an old school analog clock, which then in turn became the scoreboard, and now in turn is this not quite a video screen shit that we've got going on. But yeah, it's a joke, isn't it? I mean, watching a fella walk over to look at a telly, it's drama on the television, but it's
so boring in the ground, man. Just show us all I ask. Just show us what he can see. If I can see what he can see, then I'm fine with how long it takes for the decision.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just in the dark and it's mental.
I'm not having their celebrations for that, by the way, either. It was that long.
Yeah.
Like for they all ran over. Like it literally. I saw. We'll talk about the City Wolves game on the Bias Footy podcast later. But when you see all the City players running over them because he's just scored a last minute winner. That the Chelsea players did that, but everyone was. I'm surprised no one pulled a hamstring because with that, they'd gone that cold. Waiting for the decision to be made. Anyway, utter bollocks. Doesn't matter because we won, because Curtis Jones got into the box a third time, Chris. And this, I thought he'd fucked it. I'll be perfectly honest. I watched that happen in slow motion. I watched the touch. I watched the goalkeeper going in, and maybe we're a touch fortunate that Sanchez is dog shit because Alisson Becker swallows that all day long. But actually, I thought the way Curtis actually adjusted himself, he got the touch, and then leading into the celebrations, everything about it was
the
wonderful.
ball by Salah.
It's a disgrace.
It's stupid. It makes me not think he meant to pass it to Curtis Jones. It's that good a football. It's like, no, you didn't really see Curtis coming in there, Mo. Surely you were just going for the lad who ducked. It's an outstanding ball, and Curtis Jones arrives. I'm thinking, just hit it first time. Just hit it first time. You've got to hit that first time. Why have you taken a touch? Oh, you beautiful bastard, Curtis. What a guy. It was glorious. Sanchez did the roly-poly that Steve did at the live show.
Yep.
I don't know what he was thinking. It was ridiculous. Terrible goalkeeping. Curtis needed that. Curtis got that. Curtis deserved that. And what better week to do it? He's just, I know we used it for a thumbnail, but he is literally Chelsea's daddy at the moment, and he's now a father as well. So, yeah, fair play.
Yeah, congratulations to him. On that, just to keep some of the Christmas analogies going, Chelsea have spent £2 billion on footballers, and it is a bit like how dads do Christmas, in that, you know, you bought all the presents, no one's bought the wrapping paper. Like, we've got all this amazing stuff. Is there anything that's going to stop giving the game away here? It's just look at Sanchez like, oh shit! Did they sell that at the garage? Maybe I can solve this problem. How he is their goalkeeper, I have got no idea, because he's going to be the reason why they don't challenge.
Who was it who nearly scored from him in the first half? Like, you know, was it Jota? Was it early doors where he closed them down? Was it Jota then?
I think so.
Yes, it was Jota. Yeah, it was.
He's very average.
He's poor,
He's
man.
an average
So
goalkeeper at best. Substitutions, obviously losing Jota is a bad one, Chloe, because he's been in such good form for us, but it's another one where he's playing international football. We've taken a gamble on letting him play more and more minutes. He's obviously always going to be susceptible to that type of thing, because he always has been for us. It's a kick, but actually, I just thought Darwin Núñez's performance all around was really. It was actually exactly what we needed on the day.
It was. Darwin Núñez was phenomenal. From the moment he came on, his first touch with the back heel to Salah was glorious. And look, it is devastating for us to lose Jota, and hopefully it's not a big injury, but it's the way that, like, it's just an injury because someone's landed on him. Like, the actual foul shouldn't get injured from, but someone lands on him, and this time it's an upper body injury. We had it last time, someone landed on him, nearly killed his knee and half. So it's gutting for us because he is such a big part, and actually it takes the weight off Darwin Núñez, because Darwin Núñez comes into this game and maybe in other games people see Darwin Núñez come on and they're like, oh, I'm not a big fan of that right now. Like, you want, maybe Jota just makes you feel a bit more confident in the side. But actually, everyone on that ground was like, well, we're 1-0 up. We've had to take Jota off, who we all know is deadly in these games. But we've got a lad coming on here who we need to get behind, and we need him to do something. And actually, the substitute, it was good for us because you had the goal, but you had not great celebrations because of the fact that everyone just saw Jota down in the middle of the park. And Núñez comes on, and you've got someone who'll just fight for everything, who'll chase everything down. And actually his defensive work, he was really good at holding the ball up and passing it off, but his defensive work, there was many times where Gusto or Caicedo has it on the edge of the box and Darwin makes a 30-yard sprint and nicks the ball off. The ball by Núñez to Cody Gakpo is sensational.
Well, this is something I want to talk about, because I think James, Darwin Núñez is a big kicks game kind of guy, and what I mean by that is that's that moment that he's talking about. He's talking about is where he drops deep, turns on a gap, and he just smacks it with loads of pace, loads of menace over the top for him to chase down. That's what he is. He's not a finesse footballer, Darwin Núñez, but that wasn't a finesse game of football. How direct he is, how sort of like sharp bursts of energy and action, it really suited his skill set, I thought.
It's amazing to have that option, isn't it? Because we've got all those other lads up top. We get Gakpo and Diaz and Salah, who are it's close control. They're strong physical lads, but they're also really quick of thought. And then we've got this mad, huge fella who can do loads of really mad good stuff. I thought he was terrific when he came on. Some of the little touches, little flick-ons as well, things that I don't necessarily associate with Darwin Núñez. I thought he did really well yesterday. But it's a mentality thing as well. Like, I get the impression that he knows that we all want him to succeed. Like, he's not shadowing away. He's not feeling like, the occasion and the club is too much for him. He feels like he really wants to do well for us, and he feels like he wants to achieve something here. And he just needs those opportunities. And he's only a goal away yesterday from having what a really, really stellar performance. And everyone will be talking about him in the same breath as Curtis Jones. But yeah, I love everything about him. I love him going up to the crowd and trying to get everyone on their feet and trying to get a bit of energy into the stadium as well, because there's a couple of times in the game that it's lacking. And players like Darwin Núñez, that's exactly what they bring, is a little bit of chaos and some noise and a little bit of fanfare. And also, it must be fucking terrifying for Chelsea seeing him come on.
Yeah, no, I was really, really impressed with
the battle he had. It was Badashade he brought on when he came on, didn't he? I think it was a bit later on, but they had a right old tussle between the two of them, didn't they, and stuff like that. And Nunes, I was really impressed with his hold-up play. I think you both mentioned it, didn't you? But that's not something in his game where I think he's very good at. But actually, yesterday I thought he was excellent.
He just didn't overthink it, you know. And I think Jota gets it. He'll turn. He'll look forward. It was Nunes like, well, it's a bit like everyone else went. Well, it's Nunes, cool. So I'll just run. I'll just make them runs. You know, I don't need to worry about anything. Just simplify the message for him and let him play. I thought it was a really good performance, to the point where another guy who sits by me has been so very vocally critical of Darwin, and even he was like, "Whoa." Really like that, because again, he like just do it. He called like a perfect number 9-ish performance. Apart from obviously
we didn't give him any service. No service whatsoever. No. I think I heard the lad say on one of the shows last night that he didn't have a touch in the box. Like he didn't have a touch in the box. Never mind a shot. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where I think Liverpool were excellent between the boxes. I think. Last night, and they played Chelsea excellently in those areas as well. Like, for all the shots that Chelsea had, they didn't really trouble us going back to the beginning of the show and stuff. We did a really good job defensively, and I think Chelsea, to be fair to them, did an okay job at keeping us quiet, albeit we had some bigger chances than them.
We've kind of skirted around it. I want to talk about Jota being fouled by Tosin. Adarabioyo nailed it. I watched that, and having watched the Bournemouth Arsenal game, let's just say it because everyone's thinking it, right? In fact, we had there's a comment here from the inevitable King Mo says, we need at some point Paul to have a serious convo about Tosin and the tackle on Jota. Our guy was clean through for me. And then there's another couple here. In fact, he follows up and says Saliba copped the red. I watched that happen, and I was like, this is exactly what happened with Saliba in the night before. I watched this, and then I watched the replays because of all the VAR. That should just be the referee's just going to give a straight red here, because that's the way it works in football. Is that you see something happen, VAR makes a decision, and then you often find that it falls into like the consciousness of refereeing and football for a few weeks. They go, we know what to do with this one because we've had a big chat about it. Maybe next week when they've done it on Monday Night Football or something, everyone will remember to call that one. But I'm not saying either of those are necessarily nailed on red. But
the Arsenal one is a nailed on red card.
Okay. Well, that's the next show, Chloe. So we'll be careful not to go too heavy on that.
It wasn't nailed on yesterday.
I didn't think it was nailed on yesterday. The ball from the cop anyway. The ball swerves towards Levi Colwill. And I've not seen the replays of it from the other perspective, so maybe that's just, I was behind the ball's being put up top, and it just felt like at the last minute it was curving towards the linesman, where the other day against Arsenal the ball is clean through one-on-one, and it's a little bit further up the pitch, the ball where it lands. It just felt like Levi Colwill potentially could have got there. Ben White could never have gotten there for Arsenal. So I was okay with it being yellow. But that goes back to that thing,
they're not allowed to take that into consideration, are they, when you start to judge relative pace of players around that, because it becomes it's a game of fantasy football, that, isn't it? Of like, I imagine he's fast enough to get back into that kind of. I agree, it's deep. Look, it's deeper than this.
I think deeper, and Chloe's right. I watched it on the television, and it was bending the other way. It wasn't bending towards goal.
That's the only reason that it wasn't a red for me. Everything else is exactly the same.
Cross him to the left, clear red card. But it just felt like he was going to have to go the line, and then by the time he's had to go the line, the two players can get back.
It's the right call.
Cool. The last sub I want to talk about is Joe Gomez. I mean, James, it's interesting because I think there's a first 2 minutes or so and Gomez looks a little like, oh wow, like getting up to the speed of the game. Like he might have a little struggle, and then after that he's perfect. Every time the ball gets played beyond. They try that loads now because they've obviously got they bring Neto on, and then latterly they bring on Kunku on, so they've got the pace to try and get him behind us, and he reads stuff, he snuffs. So I just thought he was a brilliant sub.
Yeah, he comes on at quite a difficult time, doesn't he? Because they're really throwing the kitchen sink at it, and I think Neto was lovely yesterday. I mean, what a fabulous player they've got on their hands there. He really is excellent. But yeah, I echo everything you just said, man. I love Joe Gomez. I love everything that he's about. I thought he was so cool and calm yesterday. There was a couple of times when the ball, nearly gets down to our byline, and Joe Gomez just says, absolutely not, not on my watch, and reminds everyone how good a player he is. And I really hope that I really hope he gets the future for him is really, really bright because he deserves it. Mm-hmm. And if it is a case of him moving away from Liverpool, then I think there's another couple of years of really solid Joe Gomez work somewhere for a really, really lucky football club, because he's really, really solid.
It's a quality of the squad thing, that, Chris. Again, we looked at a few of these players and gone, well, we're not rotating loads. When are they going to get their games? When are they going to get this time? And that's Joe Gomez coming in, horses for courses. That's the situation. It's no slight on Trent. It's just that, they're just going to go super direct. You've got a faster, more defensive player to put into that situation. Do it. Use the full breadth of your squad.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And I think, and
Trent defended really well, by the way.
No, he was excellent yesterday, again, defensively. But how many times already this season, almost one of the first subs has been Trent for Bradley, hasn't it? It's so often, hasn't it? And Slot's gone, this isn't the game for that. This is the game for Joe Gomez to come in and do what we know Joe Gomez can do. And not just the substitution, but actually the way Liverpool played in the last 15 minutes and just taking the sting out of the game whenever we did get the ball. And it was like, we can go forward, but then we'll just go back. Yep. We'll make you think we're going forwards, and then we'll just open up the space and play it back to the defenders. And it was a team that, for me, a team performance that was full of confidence to say, we actually believe we're one of the best defences in the league again. And if we believe that, we're going to show that in how we play football and how we see out a game. It was perfect. From the manager to the players, the game management was absolutely spot on.
We had a chance late on. We had a couple of opportunities actually to try and get the ball into the box. And there's one in particular where it's like Diaz down the left-hand side. And he could go for it, and he just doesn't. Yep. And he chooses to go back, and he's got Robertson there with him. And it's funny because I remember loads of people go on, get the ball in the box. And I just shouted out loud, because that's what you do at football matches, like, we're winning. We're winning, just keep the ball. Just keep the ball.
Paul just glanced up at the scoreboard, we're winning,
just keep it. No, but honestly, you think that though, because I've just watched 2 years of football where we just constantly threw ourselves into the breach at the charge of the Light Brigade at any given moment for no reason whatsoever.
Zero game management last season.
Oh my
whatsoever.
God! And just to go, nah, lads, we're fine. We don't need to score a third one. We just need to not concede another one, and we'll be absolutely laughing here. And it was great too. I think the game, I think the crowd probably needed that third goal, Chloe, just for the vibes, maybe to bounce out on cloud nine. But again, it goes back to this sense of maturity, this sense of calm in what we're doing. We're not punching ourselves out here. We're just going to go about the business and winning games of football.
Yeah, and once again, it's more measured. We've said that. It's more measured throughout the entire game, but especially at the end of a game when you've got something to protect. And look at that Nkunku chance that they had at the end. I think I nearly had a heart attack in that moment. But aside from that, when we just decided that we didn't want to close Neto down in the final seconds of the game, aside from that, Liverpool were really good at just making sure they got the body in front of the man and the ball. You had Darwin Núñez down in the corner trying to win cheap fouls here and there, and it was just a very mature performance, and it was a monumental effort. We had to dig deep at times, and we all would have loved a third goal, absolutely, but that coming out and winning games of football when Liverpool aren't playing at their best, and we're having to dig deep at times, but we're showing different ways to win games of football. The season we won the league, it was because we'd go a goal up and be it's all right, everybody, let's just sit behind this ball and we'll ride this out. And we'd take the lead and we'd just be like, great, that's us for the game now, guys. Let's just stick, let's stay disciplined, and that's all we've got to do. We just had enough quality that we did sometimes run away with it. But I just like the fact that we can see us win in different ways. And it actually feels bigger at being a 2-1 win than a 3-1 win, because I heard Chelsea fans coming out of that ground going, we've battered them. Like, we had them on toast. Like, they were there for the taking. And I'm sat here going, that's great. I've got 3 points and I'm top of the table now and you're not. So, if we were there for the taking, why have you not gone and taken the 3 points? And it just goes to show that Liverpool can dig deep in those moments.
Is this a conversation you had out loud or just in your head?
No, they were having a chat between themselves, and I just looked at them and thought,
this is great.
Yeah.
I've got 3
Keep
points.
crying, guys.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true, isn't it? And look, we lived through Chelsea's good era and that was what they would do. They just ruthlessly win. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with Rory Jennings, and I've done many bits of content, and he's obsessed with how few goals Chelsea teams concede over the years, and they only conceded 15 goals in the 2004-2005 season. It's like wicked. That is very, very good, but actually, you know, and is right.
20 years ago, Rory.
Well, yeah, but
loves
also
that Mourinho team.
Oh,
Goodness me.
But it kind of is right, because that's the thing. The most important stat is whether you won the game or not. At the end of the day, great, and that's what I mean. It's 3 goals in 8 games we've conceded in the Premier League, and like that was probably the first time we've conceded a really like. It's a good goal, almost. You know, it's we could probably maybe so, but it's actually it's a decent area at the pitch. They've worked themselves into a good area to take a shot on. So like that's kind of all right. It's a body position, it's a time and stuff. It's fractions of seconds, and Konate's legs probably slightly less. He's probably slightly less trying to do the splits to play him on side, and we might be better off. But no, fine. You're right. You know, a 3-1 win would probably have flattered us, maybe a touch, but a 2-1 win just looks.
But it's not even that. I think Diaz wins us a throw-in down at the Annie Road end, and like it's a throw-in with a couple of minutes to go, and the way he gives it to the crowd next to him, it's like all we've done is won a throw-in. It's still in a dangerous area, but it's gave us just a little bit of breathing time, and the way he was just reacting to the crowd every time he won something. Also, I mean, once again, the shoulder to shoulder to Nunes. I mean, that lad's could have potentially made it 3-1, but instead he decided to give them another opportunity, did the ref. So, like, maybe if that would have been a foul, it'd have been a lot calmer than the Nkunku chance that they had and me nearly losing my head. But yeah, it's one of them.
I thought Kelleher's positioning on that meant he couldn't score anyway, to be honest with you.
I enjoyed Kelleher. I thought he was fine.
On the Nkunku chance.
Oh, right, yeah. My heart was in my mouth though.
Yeah.
I totally understand that.
That's one of them. Again, it's a live, breathing thing in front of you. You feel loads edgier in the reality of it when you go back and watch these things again. Like looking back over the stats from the Milan game, and I know we were sublime at the end in that, but you do just go. Yeah, you always feel like it can go against you because we've had years of being conditioned to Liverpool playing really well. Like, we're 1-0 down. What the hell? Like, what the hell is going on? Man City are that team now. We're going to discuss that on the Bias Footy podcast a little later on, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Right, short break from us. Liverpool are top of the league. Before we have that break, let's have a look at the league table. Look at that. 8 games. 2 games too early to really be looking at it, but after 8, Liverpool top of the pile, points ahead of Man City, 4 ahead of Arsenal.
She's looking good.
All of that to come.
Matter? We used to be that team that had too many draws and not enough losses, and now we've got 1 loss, no draws, and we're top still. And Arsenal have lost. Manchester City have
draws are massive, aren't they? Okay, cool. A little bit of info from us when we return. We're going to be chatting about James's new podcast and looking ahead to Leipzig and maybe a touch to Arsenal as well.
Hey guys, how would you like the chance to win this? A retro LFC shirt signed by an Anfield icon, John Barnes. At the end of October, we'll be giving this away to one of our Redmen Plus Legends subscribers. So if you head over to redmenplus.com now and join us as a legend, you'll be in the prize draw at the end of the month and you could win this. Not only that, you get access to our amazing content, both in video and podcast forms. You get access to the Discord group, you get priority on live event tickets, but most importantly for you guys, you got a chance to win this, a shirt signed by Mr. John Barnes. Redmenplus.com, become a legend, and yet good luck, one of you will be winning this.
Hey, hello everyone, welcome back. No one was doing anything, that's fine. Hi everyone, yes, we are here. We are about to discuss the midweek game with RB Leipzig and obviously how that will impact Liverpool with regard to a massive game at the weekend. That is of course Liverpool against Arsenal, but he isn't here just for eye candy purposes. James Sutton is here because he's got something to promote. No, he's got a brand new podcast.
I have got a brand new podcast.
Male Mind Matters. First and foremost, what prompted it, and ultimately, do you want to just tell people a little bit more about what it's about?
Yeah, I'd love to. I've wanted to do a podcast for a while. Having contributed to the Redmen and to the Rap and a bit on LFC TV, I like talking and I like listening as well. I like listening to stories. I like getting to know people. I think people are fascinating, and I think there's a real lack of sort of open, honest, sort of vulnerable conversations between men. In fact, I know there is, and the world could use some more. So I thought, I'm going to be that guy. So I'm doing a bi-monthly podcast called Male Mind Matters.
Now, when you say bi-monthly, does that mean twice a month or once every 2 months? Because it can be construed either way.
Can it?
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, it's every other week. Yeah, I'll just say how it is. Yeah, and it's been brilliant. I've had some amazing guests so far. I've got an ex-professional rugby player. I've had a guy who runs male support sexual assault charity. I've had an actor. I've got a rapper coming in from London. I've got some really interesting guests coming in, and they sort of it's not necessarily a mental health podcast. We cover all kinds of things from careers to relationships to sex to vulnerability to mental health to everything really that men don't really speak about. Friendship. I've got a guy coming on who wrote a book on friendship because there's a lot of quite lonely guys in the world and it's a bit of a taboo, sort of male loneliness. So I've got some really interesting conversations planned, and I think I hope people will really enjoy it.
This is the antithesis of the Andrew Tate culture, is what we're talking about here. Of like people who, because some of the, this whole like alpha males or no or not or nothing thing is a bit. I find it a bit.
Yeah, if you fucking hate Andrew Tate, you'll love this. That's basically going to be my tagline. That's
the tagline, ladies and gentlemen. Male Man Matters. Fucking hate Andrew Tate.
The anti-Tate.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm super excited by it. The response to the first episode has been really, really good. And if anyone is watching or listening and wants to go to @Male Mind Matters on Instagram and or look for it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it's there for your listening pleasure.
So @Male Mind Matters on Instagram. It currently has 353 followers. I reckon from the podcast, from people watching here alone, we can get that up to 1,000. Surely we can. So yeah, head over to Instagram and follow @Male Mind Matters. If nothing else, you're going to see more of James's tremendous arms. So who doesn't need that in their lives? You know what I mean? But yes, brilliant stuff, mate. It was funny. You came in like, how are you dealing with it? You're like, yeah, running a show's like it's a thing, isn't it? Like, yeah,
it's funny. I guess it's like setting up any kind of business. You don't really realise what it entails until you actually do it. And I think I just thought doing a podcast would just be us just having a chat, and maybe I just sort of hold my mobile phone and we'd speak into that. It's fuck all like that. It's technical stuff and the equipment and the researching the guest and booking the guest and doing all the editing. But I'm really enjoying the process, and I think to have something that's sort of just mine, it's my thing, is a really exciting venture for me. I like kind of having ownership over something because I've always historically, I've worked for various, continuing dramas and different production companies, but I've not done anything that's just me. Mm-hmm. So it feels quite vulnerable actually to kind of, you feel quite exposed, I think. I mean, you guys probably know from, when you first set the Redmen up, you're sort of saying to everybody, this is us and this is what we do and this is our opinion and this is how we sound, and
every time we put a live show up for sale, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. A deep, sick feeling in the core of my people.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Chris Pajak. but there's something about that. But actually, I'm finding the whole process really quite invigorating and quite rewarding to sort of put myself out there. And it's nice because I'm someone I've always been quite open and honest about my mental health and the things that I've been through. And having a guest on, I've kind of entered into this sort of unspoken sort of agreement with my guest that if you are open and honest and vulnerable with your stories and your experiences, I'll do the same. So we've got this kind of nice relationship where it's just two blokes chatting about real life stuff, and it's really, really beautiful, and I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, Chris and I have got that. I never asked for it.
The wife you never wanted.
And there's the story about the shower, and there's like, no, all right, Sal, okay, we're doing this.
We're not
telling the shower story. Brilliant. Yes, @Male Mind Matters. Check it out on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Right. let's delve into it. Champions League returns. Chloe Bloxham. Biggest test of the Champions League this season so far?
I thought you were just going to stop at biggest test. The problem is I watch a lot of football.
Bearing in mind Italian football shite.
Oh, there you go again. Yeah, I watch a lot of football, and yet somehow I most definitely watched Leipzig last season. Do I know about them? Not really. I know Openda is really good for both Belgium and them, and he can be a danger. So there is a lot of players who can cause us problems. However, once again, Liverpool have got 2 home games coming up that are the biggest 2 games of their big block. So when loads of people say, just win your home games and you'll be fine, it's a lot easier said than done this time around. So it feels like you have to go there and you have to get 3 points. Liverpool have the quality to do that. It'll be interesting to see the team that he puts out. If he, we mentioned Curtis Jones and Sobbo earlier. It'll be interesting to see who starts of that, because one of them, whoever's not playing, the other one definitely does deserve to have the start. I think it is a must-win game for the main reason of the 2 biggest tests are coming up soon. But at the same time, you do not want to underestimate that Leipzig team. They can play some really good football and they've got some really dangerous players.
I think it's the biggest test of how Klopp manages the squad over the next week.
I enjoyed that.
That's fine.
Did I really?
Yeah, you did.
I'm so sorry. Alan.
You're allowed 1.
I'm allowed. Okay, I've already done that.
Is Enrico Chiesa going to be playing as well?
Enrico Chiesa is unfit.
That's what you call him?
I call him all the time. It's his dad's name. He was a great player. And I'm a really slow learner. So for me, I think it's the biggest test for Slot in how he manages his squad this week.
Yes.
And I think that's what it comes down to. Obviously, I think Liverpool have started the Champions League really well so far this campaign. I think we do need the 3 points if we want to get into the top 8 here. So that in that regard, it's massively important. They're obviously a good side, but really it's how do we perform 3 times and win 3 games over the course of last weekend, the midweek and the next weekend, because I'd rather win the Premier League this season, mate. Now, you know what I mean? And I'm starting to believe that Liverpool can win the Premier League this season, and I think if we can be 7 points ahead of Arsenal after next weekend, then that's one of 2 teams chalked off, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I really think we can end Arsenal's title fight this weekend, and I'd really like us to end Arsenal's title fight, because I think the pressure cooker over down there is ridiculous, and the players' heads will fucking fall off if we beat them.
And the fans, because let's be honest, they've got an entire independent media company set up around their fans absolutely losing their shit at any given point, whether they should be doing it or not. They're primed. No club is quite as prepared for everything to fall apart as Arsenal Football Club. They're so used to it happening over the years. Long may that continue. I really like that. And I think me and Chloe were discussing this at the match, is that what Arsenal's result against Bournemouth does is actually means that a draw at the Emirates is just an even better result for us. Not in the context of us fighting with Man City, because that would hand an advantage to City to go back to the top of the league, of course. But in reality, if we imagine that Arsenal are going to stick the course, taking a point, causing them to lose 2 points from their home tally would not be a bad thing, and that's kind of, I don't know, that's what I feel about it, but also Chris has got me a little bit excited as well at the same time.
Yeah.
You're the first person.
You want to go into every game and try and win it. That is.
I'm not. No, don't say that as your fucking sentence after what I've just, because that implies that I've gone. Don't win, there. Don't beat it. I'm just saying, as far as constructing a season goes.
Pressure cooker, no Saliba. You've got to go and try and you've got to give it everything. Also, Liverpool, are playing quite decent right now. Let's just hope we get no more injuries and we start getting bodies back, because that is a big thing that we've been hit with this week. But I think that Saliba thing is massive for them. Gabriel is brilliant, and they'll probably just bring Calafiori in or somewhere like that. But apparently Calafiori in that Arsenal game, I was watching Stoke, believe it or not. But Calafiori, apparently when he came on, really looked like he was under a lot of pressure and didn't quite handle the moment. So we've got it, that the pressure is on them. They have had They drew with City, so that's fine. They've had a bad result there, but it just feels like one more thing. And honestly, that ground might actually be on, pins last season was Anfield, to the point where it got to the players at times. Hopefully Arsenal can be that. And you just feel like it could explode at any point. So Liverpool have to go there. They have to attack that. You've got to come away with something as the bare minimum. But under the circumstances.
Yeah, they don't have much experience of playing without Gabriel and Saliba. That's the thing. They play so much football for them, and Kyrgios's been the backup, which always feels like I'm saying I've got a speech impediment whenever I try to say his name, but that's it. I believe that's how his name is said. But he had a couple of issues. They've got a load of lads who are centre backs by trade, but also I've been told that they're fullbacks, so they've got
Ben White, Calafiori,
Timbers, who plays a lot of centre half. So they've got no shortage of cover for a change to play in there, but none of them are Saliba, who is, again, it's him and Virgil van Dijk are the best centre halves in the league. So yeah, good thing. Just swinging it back to Leipzig. Obviously, they've had a brilliant start to the season.
Sorry, just one more thing. As from today, Timber and Saka were not in training for Arsenal. There is still a lot of days. So
Big time, obviously, Odegaard's still out, isn't he?
Yeah, or Tommy Asu. No Tommy Asu today either.
Fine, lovely. Long may that continue. My general thing on this, James, is that we've had 2 standout seasons over the last 5 years or whatever, where we've just been nailed by injuries, and it has had a catastrophic effect on Liverpool's title challenge. I'm ready for that to be someone else's fucking problem for a change. And if it's Arsenal, cool. And again, I don't want to be that prick who's wishing injury upon people, but in a broad sense of, as a football club, how they cope with adversity, the way that Liverpool have had to do it. City are going through a little bit of it at the moment, already lost Rodri for the season. Wouldn't it just be nice to, again, pulling the human element, but I'm very aware that you've got a podcast about mailman matters, and not to slaughter other men going through stuff, but yeah.
But yeah, it'd be all right.
But honestly, if we can just get through this, the Chloe and Chris are right, we're going to have to manage the squad for this. And it does pose some questions about who does go again. And maybe there's a chance that more people might be available for the weekend or whatever. But yeah, it is a low-key. It was always going to be tough because it's Arsenal, but it's definitely taken on more significance because there's a real opportunity to put it on someone else's toes for a change.
And it's going to be interesting to see how Arne Slot handles this as well, because we don't really know, what his instincts are with balancing the Champions League and the Premier League. We've only had a couple of fixtures, and as we get further and further into the competition with this new structure as well, it's going to be really interesting to see how he manages it, because there were so many times under Jurgen Klopp when I thought, well, we're going to rest a load of players because this is a quote unquote easier Champions League game, or we maybe only need a point or whatever. And we'd go full strength, and then we'd come out with an injury, and you were like, lad, I get it. I know that you want to win every game, and I know that it's the Klopp thing.
But it was Jota.
And it's
why did you play Jota?
You know what I mean? It's the pride, and it's the fist bumping, and it's all that kind of stuff. And I wonder if, because Arne Slot is, as it seems, a calmer individual, and the game management, as we've referenced earlier in the show, seems to be a lot better. I'd like to think that the squad management will be a little bit better as well. And actually, this Leipzig game, I wouldn't say it's a free hit, but it is early on in the Champions League campaign, and there's an argument for resting some players with Arsenal coming up in the future, which is obviously the big game. But then to counter that, if you win 6 of the 8 Champions League games, you've got 2 free hits later on in the season. So it's a complicated thing. But what I would say is that everybody that we've got in the squad, when they've come on, has played really, really well. Even and it pains me, I thought Tsimikas last time he played wasn't too bad. Conor Bradley's obviously a great young talent. Quansah, we can make changes, and it doesn't seem to affect things too badly. So I'd love to see some changes with Arsenal in mind, because I'm absolutely with you. I think we body Arsenal everywhere given their injury crisis, and then take it from there.
At the risk of jumping too far ahead, Chris, it's Brighton away in the League Cup the week after, and that's the one for me. You go, well, good going, I want to win the Premier League more than the Champions League. the League Cup, if the league is there, if someone's going to present us with a chance to really go for the Premier League, then it has to be gone for. The Champions League's still too early for it to be a thing just yet. But that's the one for me where you might just ask a couple of lads to push a little bit harder, but they're nowhere near that League Cup game, and that's what I'm not against happening, because that you should be treating the League Cup as the fourth tier competition. We'll put the best team out we can, given the circumstances, and how many people in the red zone or whatever. You know,
won it with kids last year.
Yeah.
Just do that again. Fine. Why are we messing around with first teamers in that competition? And we already proved we can win it with kids.
It was unbelievable with kids as well, by the way. It's one of the best celebrations I've had in years.
It was fantastic.
Do that again.
Can we just do that again?
Yeah, let's try. But yeah, fine on that one.
I did think for the most part that the team that played Chelsea would, for the most part, start against Arsenal, with the caveat of, maybe Diaz and McAllister come back in and they're asked to play 2 games in a few days. I think the crux of the team is already in place. I think Timmercast will probably start midweek against Leipzig.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why is I actually think Robertson, his energy levels aren't quite the same as what they were a few years ago. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a struggle. You have to manage Robertson's season probably more than we've ever had to think about it before.
If you can play Simicast in the San Siro, you can play him against Leipzig. I think that'll be a general rule of thumb on that one, even though, look, again, worth mentioning, Leipzig are level on points with Bayern at the top of the Bundesliga at the moment, so they're having a good season so far. They don't score a lot, but they don't concede like any. They've got a great defence at the moment this season, so look, we should be all right. Mention it from Dickie Red, actually, could Harvey be back for the Cup? There's something that changes that circumstance where, Harvey, we saw, I don't know if anyone saw him, he was on the pitch, obviously wasn't part of the matchday squad, but he was around Anfield. We've seen his training photos, he's obviously fit again.
I think he joined in the outside training last week as well.
Brilliant. We could really do with him back into the mix, really, particularly with that coming up, because we're going to need him, because we just genuinely will. It'd be nice to know what's happening with Chiesa, but doesn't seem to be anywhere. His slot he was asked about him, but didn't even mention his name pre-Chelsea at the weekend. So we've got who we've got. Hopefully no one else goes down. And then, as I say, it's not about throwing the League Cup away. It's just about when you come to judge it, you've got Brighton midweek and then you play them in the Premier League. Which team do you want to be full strength for there? I want to be 100% full strength for that Premier League game, because either you've dropped points against Arsenal, you've drawn it or lost it, potentially, and you need to get right back on the, back at it again, or you're in a situation where who knows what City could do. They're running a ragged edge themselves. You might have an opportunity to really do a number on the league in the next couple of weeks, so we shall see. Right, yes, thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, hi. We don't forget to come and join us on Wednesday. What time are we start?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. here on YouTube, all the way through to the end of the Leipzig game as well. So come and join us in support of Zoe's place with those tremendous guests. Stay tuned to our socials as well for any future guest announcements, or just to refamiliarise yourself with that. But yeah, more importantly, Kenny Dalglish should be coming in here at some point during the day, so tune in for that one.
James hasn't actually we haven't tied James down to a time yet. I think he's waiting on the Kenny Dalglish time. He's just said I'm going to be here and just let me know when Kenny's coming in.
You literally gave me the Dalglish news and then went, what time will you be here, James? Like I'm going to go, when Kenny's not. I had a wonderful chat with Kenny once, and it's he's the loveliest, kindest, most generous human being, so it doesn't surprise me that he's coming in. He really, really, really cares.
Yep, he's a brilliant fella, and there's lots of brilliant people involved with the stuff on Wednesday, so you get involved
on your
with
podcast. Sorry.
Oh my God, don't.
Tap him up. Anyway.
Imagine though that obviously talking about Hillsborough and the after effects and all that type of stuff, that would be one of the most incredible conversations ever.
I'll do my best.
Okay, cool. Make sure as well, as mentioned, Male Mind Matters over on Instagram. You guys are capable of getting it up there. I think we've had 10 followers on while we've been live, so make sure you go. Well done.
Decent.
Good. I already followed. Better friend.
Now, boys.
Yeah. Kev, right, yes. Anyway, yeah, go over to Instagram, follow it, listen to it, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, for listening. Come and join us over on the Biased Football Podcast. There is a code. Steve's not here to tell us exactly what it does, but if you use the code BIASED over on a Club Captain subscription monthly, you'll get a discount. You can come and listen to that for cheaper.
50% off your first month.
I think I got that last week.
Pretty sure. I think no, you said 3 months last month, and Steve, what are you doing? Yeah, 50% off month subscription to redmenplus.com. Use the code BIASED on a Captain monthly subscription and get the show that we're about to do for half price. Nice one. Bye.